I know Mr. Beaver.
Everybody knows.
It is. All right, so we don't need to do formal introductions. At this time, this is the annual organizational meeting of the Planning Commission. All of the members have been duly appointed by the Board of Supervisors. And at this time, I would open the floor for nominations for chair of the Planning Commission.
I'd like to nominate Heidi Wythe.
Are there other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Mr. David Midkiff.
Are there any other nominations?
Move the nominations exceeds for whatever.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to close the nominations. All those in favor of closing the nominations, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? All right. How y'all want to do this? Secret ballot or show of hands?
Man up.
I don't think nobody's gonna be bitter one way or the other.
All right.
I have one question. Since I've been nominated and Heidi, do we abstain or we vote for ourselves or vote for each other or what?
I believe under our rules of procedure, you may vote for yourself or you may vote for any other candidate. So, anybody have any objections to that? Okay. All those in favor of Ms. Lyle as the chair, please raise your right hand. All those in favor of Mr. Midkiff as the chair, please raise your right hand. All right, I have, with an abstention from Mr. Midkiff and an abstention from Ms. Lyle, I have that Mr. Midkiff has 3 votes and Ms. Lyle has 2. So congratulations, Chairman Midkiff. If you would, please take your seat at the dais and proceed with the rest of the agenda. I would suggest that I have a list you can use to seat members by seniority once the vice chair has been elected. Thank you all.
And as my first act as chairman of the Wythe County Planning Commission, I appreciate y'all's confidence in me for electing me, and I'll try to do my utmost diligence to do a good job. And our next item of business is election of vice chair. Do we?
I'd like to nominate Ms. Lyle.
I'll second that nomination.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other nominations?
Move the exceeds for spot whatever.
All right, we'll just do a show of hands on electing Ms. Heidi Lyle as the vice chairman of the Wythe County Planning Commission. Is unanimous vote and Ms. Lyle abstained.
She's the chair. Okay.
And now this third business is
You may
election
select your seat.
of the secretary.
Here you go, sit, Rusty.
Treasurer.
I'm waiting to see where he goes. He's smart, he won't be close.
I'll just stay where I was.
I'm not gonna argue with it.
Congratulations.
Thank you, congratulations to you too. Our third item of business is election of the secretary treasurer. I'll entertain motions for nominations.
No, do that, people. Can you do that? Rusty, put Susan in there. Huh? Put Susan in there, unless you want that thing.
Like to nominate Chris Gaines.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have Mr. Chris King has been nominated. Any others?
I move to close while Chris has been nominated.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, and no other persons wish to step up to the plate for that job. We will take a vote. Everybody who's in favor of Mr. Chris King being the secretary treasurer, raise their hand.
You have a choice.
Unanimous decision. Congratulations, Mr. King.
Thank you.
For being the secretary treasurer of the Wythe County Planning Commission.
Look at, take my seat. Go back where I was at in the corner. Yeah, that's it, where I was at before. But you already got my computer anyway.
So I guess wherever everybody else wants to see it.
That's where I get it.
No.
Not there.
No, no.
I got a seat for you, right?
Did you say something about seniority or something? What you said?
That was my suggestion, you have problems.
Well, Beamer would be the next,
Beamer's, yeah.
and then
Me.
Mr. Dunford, and
Me.
then Pruitt. Yeah,
Yeah.
but you already picked.
Yeah, we're done. Yeah, yeah.
There you go, there you go, go ahead.
Wherever you were going.
Susan, I think we'll hold that way, I think, Susan. Yes. Yeah.
Way to go, David, way to go. Separate you two.
I'm getting that too. I don't know what to do about it.
What do you do, you take count?
I hit cancel that send receipt, email's not coming through. It's coming up with a thing that says verify
Microsoft
yourself.
Planning Commission.
But the phone number it has is not ending in anything, that's my phone number.
Yeah. I'm not certain. I'll just leave it here. I'll leave mine here.
Here, I'll print it, so we'll just
What?
I'll print it, so we can just look at it.
You printed
I
it?
got extra.
There's a count.
I didn't have it on my computer, so.
Huh, it needs to be copies. I got mine on my phone.
I'll just share with Miss Springfield.
How would you do that?
Oh,
Show
yours
how
is working.
bad you
What's
are.
that?
I was having the same problem last month.
Hers is working.
Last district. You just got it.
Still not?
I'm not still on that same line.
See what it does. Other than that, just so that-
Lisa Shell, Lisa Shell, Lisa Shell, Lisa Shell, Lisa's shed.
Last one I've got, 12-1.
Yeah, that's mine too.
12-1?
And they're still giving that same thing, but no.
I'll take them and,
They put them back in the
I
hole
don't know
for
how
it.
many more times I gotta take them to them, but, I don't know what to do.
I'll leave it on for the time being and see what it does.
Okay.
I think we'll start
Is
this today.
everybody's mic on?
I will cut mine off.
Is it green? It's green.
And our next order of business will be public hearing for John and Linda Hager. I'll entertain a report from the staff at this time.
Okay. John and Linda Hager are proposing to divide their property totaling 131.439 acres located along State Route 610, Peppers Ferry Road in the Fort Chisholm Magisterial District. They wish to subdivide approximately 42.868 acres from their property and sell it to Anthony and Laura Beth Watson. Because the 42.868 acre parcel does not have 100-foot state road frontage and the proposed division of this property would leave a non-conforming lot, they're requesting a variance to section 5.3.18 of the ordinance in order to proceed with this proposed division. This is the 42 acres that they're wanting to split off. Here's the 10 acres that they just split off, and the 50-foot road, or, I'm sorry, right away would come up this way and then across the property here.
So you got a right of way coming off a right of way.
Yes.
And I do have a question on the right of way, because it says a private right of way, and that would be between Mr. Armentrout and the Hagers. Usually for private right of ways, it's between those two parties. Does the Watsons also have an agreement with Mr. Armentrout for the right of way?
So, yeah, so the answer is, Mark Armentrout has already
Could you
agreed.
come up and
Yes.
state your name and address?
Yes, I'm John Hager, thank you, yes.
Yeah.
No.
Because I know that was a question and you could answer it, so.
So, yes, that right away, the agreement has been made with Mark and with, myself. And Mark is only waiting to see how this variance comes out before he actually puts it in, to make sure that Anthony Watson can do that, and he will add him to that right away, list. And I will comment that the Watsons, it's the Watson Farm LLC, is on the back side of that 42 acres, and that's why Anthony wants to purchase that. He had asked me, could I purchase that 42 acres? It's a natural little boundary right there. And it has a creek that he has. The LLC does not want to purchase it, but he wants to purchase it as a member of the LLC to add on to that.
Okay. Appreciate your,
Does that satisfy you, Susan?
Do.
any other questions for Mr. Hager? I have one, that existing 50-foot right of way that goes up to the cemetery, is it gonna be extended over to that parcel?
Just right here in front, you see it?
Oh, I see it now.
Right, so Mark agreed that he would give Anthony Watson the right of way through his property up to the right of way that I'm giving him over to the 42 acres, not all the way up to the cemetery.
Any other questions for Mr. Hager? If board members at this time, staff. Commission members have any discussion on this one?
I thought that should've been 100-foot right of, what does the subdivision law state?
So the 100 foot that you're thinking about is if it's a cul-de-sac.
I was thinking if, like, if you have house tracks in the front, ag land behind has to have 100-foot right of way.
Not according to the subdivision ordinance.
No.
Do you know of anything?
Leases, they ask for.
I looked at it 100 times.
Okay,
Couldn't find
if that's what it says.
The only thing I
One
could
time-
see about 100 foot was the cul-de-sac from the turnaround.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking that you had to have 100-foot from, come off Pittsburgh Road, 100-foot to come 90 degrees for a tractor trailer turn and get back in there. That's,
No, and I even Googled it, and I
couldn't,
come
it
up
should have
with
50
anything.
foot.
I
If 50
couldn't come
foot
up
was
with
supposed to be,
anything.
then that's fine, I got nothing wrong with it.
Okay. I couldn't find anything in there that said anything about that.
Okay, well, I'm glad you looked for me, thank you.
I did.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff?
I move to approve it, Mr. Chairman, because this 50 foot is gonna be deeded, as far as I'm concerned.
I'll second. It's been moved and properly seconded. We'll have a vote, everybody's, just a voice vote. Start, Chris, we'll do it this way.
Aye.
Aye. The new partial variance request has been approved by the Wythe County Planning Commissions. I appreciate, Mr. and Mrs. Hager coming to see us today, but I know we've been quite busy the last couple of months with variances.
They have.
We have it, and if I just may add, thank you all for entertaining, thank you.
And it's good to have that right of way
Yeah.
going to the cemetery, because you really can't legally block access to a cemetery.
Right,
The 50 foot right of way made our job very much easier.
yes. Yeah,
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
yes.
Thank you very much.
And our next item of business will be, citizens' time.
I can speak if I can.
We have one citizen left in the gallery, you're welcome to speak, just come up to the podium,
Okay.
state your name and your address.
My name's Tony Floyd, 4900 Houston Highway, and I'm the only one here. So, I just wanted to comment on some minutes, the minutes from, the previous meeting that I obviously did not join. I know it came up in discussion about, the zoning, and I think the question was asked by, I don't know who asked the question. To you, Matt, about the, bringing it to a vote at some point, with citizens, come an election about the zoning ordinance at some point, and you thought that you may not be able to, or you shouldn't do it, or just wanted to say that, citizens definitely should have an opinion on it, and whether or not they know all the particulars about zoning or not zoning. I think will improve transparency, and I think that the citizens probably would like to have that opportunity, but, I don't know when that will happen, or if they.
If I may offer clarification.
Yeah.
I believe the question came up of what process has the board of supervisors set up or will establish
Or can we do?
for consideration. So the step that we have moved into is the public education part. So the people who want to be involved in the process can have feedback on what we've got proposed. It's on our website, so people have the opportunity to look at the language that's on there. You indicated earlier that the maps aren't on there.
Yeah, I'm asking for that too, yes.
But it's really up to the board of supervisors to determine when they want that.
But they can
That
do that
process
if
to
they
come
choose
in.
to do that.
It will not be a ballot item. It will not be something that goes to the public as a, we're gonna vote for this or not. It will be the opportunity for the public to come, offer their comment as part of our public education process. If folks have good ideas.
There's no
and they
provision or
want to-
legal way for the citizens for that to come to a ballot measure?
No,
Okay.
it is my understanding that there is not. It's an ordinance that would have to be adopted by the board of supervisors, not for, public vote.
Okay. All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
You're welcome back anytime.
I will come back to every single one of them.
We hardly have any visitors, unless you're having your variance.
No, not for me yet, so.
Our next item of business will be.
Did you get that
minutes
email?
of prior
I'll send it a
meeting.
different way.
Hope everyone had a chance to look at the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, having ample time from Lisa sending the minutes last week, I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Everybody, will vote this time. Everybody in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
The minutes have been approved as presented. And our next item is our new business, our 2026 meeting dates and times.
So the only one that I have, I really had to change around was September the 1st. Because 7th is Labor Day, and on the 8th is the Board of Supervisors meeting. So we usually have it the Tuesday after the Monday, but we can't, so I had to back it up to the Tuesday prior to. For September the 1st, and that's gonna be on a Tuesday, if that's all right. Rest of them is following, you know, the Monday schedule, unless you all wanna change the Monday schedule. Monday's still good?
Yes, ma'am.
Monday, yeah.
I like Monday.
Alright, so that's the only date that I actually had to change was September the 1st. And that one's gonna fall on the Tuesday before the 1st.
Do you need us to vote, set that in stone, or
As long as you all just say it's okay,
we're good?
you're good.
Fine with me.
Yes, sir.
And the start times?
Now, we had to start time, of course, like we did before, the 6 p.m., except for the 6 months in the summer, April through September, which started at 7. Do you all want to change that? Do y'all want to, I mean, this is totally up to you all. What would y'all prefer? Do them all at 6?
I personally prefer to do them all at 6, but I defer to other people who it may affect, but I think it's just more cohesive for the public if we can just keep it at a set time.
I agree.
Which one?
Well,
It's gonna be hard, you work off whatever kayak home and do some stuff in the evening time, I know you do.
so, everybody's in favor of doing them all at 6 o'clock. That's all vote for this.
I
move that we start at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
And let's vote.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, aye.
There you go.
I can't see Lisa smiling over there, but I know she is.
I'm not smiling, okay, I mean, it's fine with me.
She had a favorite cross our day.
On my toes.
And we need to review the bylaws at this time.
Yes. So, I had found that on the bylaws prior to, there was a question about it. And I found it in the state code that the lack of attendance is if you miss 3 consecutive meetings or 4 within a 12-month period, that you can be removed by the Board of Supervisors. So I clarified that and put that state code in there for reference for later, if you all are all right with that.
That's what it says, what we gotta go by.
I make a motion to include that wording in our new bylaws.
It's been moved moved and seconded. We'll take a vote.
Aye.
Aye. Anything else, Lisa, that you need to bring up on the bylaws?
No, that was the only thing that needed to be changed.
And our next item of business will be our Department of Historic Resources information. Staff can inform us what's going on this time.
Well, I had, received this through, email asking us if they could put this land into the historic resources conservation. I took it to Matt and, we looked at the comprehensive plan and everything looks like it's in order, but I have to bring it to you all for you all to okay it first.
So they would be asking for a finding from you all that it is consistent with your comprehensive plan.
Yes.
And, would we make a motion to recommend this to the Board of Supervisors, or this is something that we would adopt?
I mean, we just need to make sure that it's okay with the comprehensive plan. That would be you all, so whatever you all say is basically what would go. I don't think it goes before the board after you all.
We would probably inform the board, but I think it's your determination.
Well, it does, I think it does conform to the comprehensive plan of maintaining agricultural and, recreational and
There's
scenic visuals.
there's basically nothing you can do with it, cause it's completely flood zone. So, recreational or, you know, farmland, it'd probably be,
Who maintains this? County?
no,
Okay.
Our only involvement is determining that it doesn't violate the comprehensive plan.
That follows in our plan, and that's all we have.
that's all you have to do.
But they're not asking for these, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I think the owner's still gonna own the land, it's just gonna have a conservation
Correct.
easement,
Easement.
because it was a Indian village at one time, so
Okay.
they wanna preserve it as that.
Right.
They're not asking us to specify this parcel number in our comprehensive plan,
No,
just that it conforms.
just that it conforms.
If that's all it was, I so move, sir. And let them have it.
I agree that it conforms with the comprehensive plan,
Yes, sir.
so I guess we'll make a motion.
I make a motion, I so move, somebody else will second it.
And we'll all vote at this time to recommend this to approval for conservation easement.
Aye.
And our next item of business will be the capital improvement plan. So I'll refer to the staff at this time.
Matt's turn. I'm done for a second. Just a second.
Put that up on the screen for us.
Yeah.
Since we're having trouble loading electronic documents,
Thank you.
you gotta stay full.
Here.
Well, mine was open to about 12:1, as far as I see. Thanks, sir. Or safe work?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I sent that to you a different way.
It just came through.
Gotcha.
Mr. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. This is something that we do every year. This is the draft capital improvement plan running from current fiscal year out through 2030. As you can see, we have quite a bit of capital needs. This is part of what we do as part of the budgeting process, trying to predict what our major capital needs are and reflect ongoing major capital projects and project planning across our major divisions. So, since we had trouble loading, I'm gonna go through this a little more extensively than I would normally go through it. So if you want me to hurry up, raise your hand, and if you want me to slow down, tell me. Yeah, so your first page reflects your county administrative departments. On the administration side, we like to do some dais extension, bring it out this way and make it a little more secure. That's just a security issue. We make sure that our boards and members are protected in cases of a security problem. So, you'll see some things on there that these are things that would be nice to have. Not necessarily things that you really want to do. So one of those things is a courthouse campus parking garage. Things get tight around here, especially on court days. There's a lot of days where you either will have to circle the block a couple of times or you won't be able to find parking at all. So, looking at, do we need to evaluate, so that there may be some study money that gets pushed toward that, trying to identify what some of the costs may be. We would like to have a secure county warehouse. We don't really have a good place for climate controlled storage. We have a lot of documents and some equipment that really don't need to be outside. So we'd like to have a secure location to be able to store that equipment. That might be co-located with a shooting range for the sheriff's office. That's one of the needs that you'll see later on down for the sheriff's office. Somewhere where they can go and demonstrate their proficiency with their firearms. We have replacement of county fleet vehicles every other year. Trying to keep fleet current so that we can have dependable vehicles when we have to travel out of town and when we have to do our jobs here in the county. One of the big ones is relocating and replacing the animal shelter. So we've got budgeted in here about a $2.4 million project. Johnny picked an architect that thinks it needs to be considerably more than that. So we'll get some additional planning and study on that and see which way it goes.
I have a question on that one. Is the town of Wythe going to contribute anything to this?
We are still in development, so we want to drive this. A town contribution would certainly be appreciated, but we would need to work out what those terms are. We also have a partnership with Blaine County, so we would expect some contribution from Blaine County toward this as well, because we do keep their notes so that they don't have to operate their own animal shelter. And part of the conversation is not just do we continue to only house dogs, but do we house all domestic companion animals, so dogs and cats. We've been able to get away so far with just doing dogs, but there's considerable pressure on the cat side too. So, our animal control officer trucks, we've got one that is worn out and is being replaced in current year, and then we have others that over the next couple of years will need to be replaced as well. It's pretty difficult for us now to have to spend in that $50,000 to $60,000 range for trucks, especially specialized vehicles. They do have to be able to haul cages and access animals in the backs of the trucks. So that's a need. We included some general capital for new capital and repairs. There's always something that falls apart, so we're just trying to do a catch-all there. If you've had to work on an HVAC system or any major plumbing, we always have something. So that's a catch-all. We need some additional parking lot development. That's for the arena. Again, that's a nice to, it's not a have to have. but if the arena continues to see growth, we have parking, spaces out there, paid parking spaces for right around 400 vehicles. You know, a large event where you're gonna bring in the capacity crowd for that arena, there's really not adequate parking down there, for that. You know, we've got in there, do we need to consider additional parking there? Part of that will probably depend on whether we're able to sell the, 45 acres, adjoining the arena. We have 30 commercial acres and about 15 residential acres, that we're getting ready to try to advertise and sell, for development purposes down there. We'd like to have, additional hotels and restaurants along with, an additional, residential housing component there. The HVAC work at the circuit court, that's approved in the current year budget, and they're working on getting that project done. This building needs some updating. Most of the staff has moved out of this building, but we need some additional work in here. Needs some renovation, revitalization. There's a strong possibility that we'll do something like move the extension office out of Fairview Park, and move the extension office up here. So we put the animal shelter in that area where the extension office is now.
How many acres you own there?
I'm sorry?
How many acres do you own with that? An acre or two?
It's that corner lot where
I know
the,
it's that,
where
yeah.
the Fairview house sits. It surrounds that little brick house that sits down at the bottom.
Okay.
So I think it's 4 or 5 acres,
Okay.
in that parcel.
Okay, so you should have enough to put shelters and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
the folks in the brick house have a life estate, so, yeah, as long as they're there, we'll have to develop around them. We've got some, significant issues with the age of the courthouse. The sewer lines are getting, to where we're having to do quite a bit of work, to maintenance and maintain and serve them. So we've got some money in there for future replacements. The juvenile domestic relations court, is a fairly small courtroom. The judge has asked for some, fairly significant upgrades, there that would require some renovations. Again, just trying to do a catch-all for law enforcement and judicial repairs. There's always something that breaks. Those buildings are used around the clock, and so we're just trying to prepare for, when it breaks, we have money budgeted for that. We've done most of our parking lot sealing, maintenance, and restriping. This year, we do still have a little bit more to do, and we've got that, out, a year in fiscal year 28. The historic courthouse, needs some renovations, and some systems replacements. There's been a fair amount of leakage in the historic courthouse, there around the cupola, the clock system, the lighting, and that a lot of it needs, repairs or replacements. So we've got out, a few years, but, yeah, we're all pretty proud of the historic courthouse, so we'd like to maintain it in a way that, befits its status and its, historic nature. The courthouse complex, climate systems replacements, we've got, some HVAC that's gonna have to be replaced in the next, 3 to 5 years, and we've currently got it in fiscal year 29. Buildings and grounds, just trying to look out for their vehicle needs. Those trucks get pretty rough service, so, we're looking at replacing those, over time. The new county administration building does not have a generator, so we have some money in the budget this year to do that. The Spiller campus overhaul and redevelopment, that's a placeholder number. Again, this is a nice to, it's not a have to. The Spiller campus will be moving at some point to the Scott campus. That will leave a school campus there in the middle of town. So, how does that get reused? Does it become school board offices? Does it become county offices, social services, any number of potential uses for that space? So we have a placeholder in there for redeveloping that campus once it's no longer a school. Johnny's pretty rough on railroad ties, so we have some money in there for replacing those every year. it comes and goes. We're giving our best estimate based on the number of ties that we have to replace in a year. I think this year actually is gonna come up closer to 50,000 if I remember right. A significant number of ties that need replacement, to maintain that rail line into, Gatorade and Amcor. And
I know
again,
that
that's-
they've replaced some with concrete, would that be an option or not?
Not at this time.
Not, okay, how much, are they much higher, John, or not, or?
Yeah, and they're not equipped, we have some that are steel, but we don't have any that are concrete right now. So,
Okay.
I've asked Norfolk Southern about that, and they said the best thing for us to do is stick with wood ties for right now.
Okay, I've just seen it on videos, I just was curious.
And in Europe, that's all they have is concrete ties, they don't have, but that's why I asked him, but.
Because all you're replacing is under the little spurs that come off, it's not like the trains going through it all the time, right? Because what y'all are replacing is the part that we own, the county owns.
Right.
It kind of spurs back into where we're at, it's not like the main few fires that the train is going across all the time.
Right, this is the part that comes up by Lee Enterprises, and goes up to Gatorade, Amcor, and the Blue Star property.
I just was curious, would that be, it might be more expensive to begin with, but it might be something to look into.
Well, we're looking at some point in time, we were hoping at the point in time when Blue Star, was gonna go in to petition Norfolk Southern for taking that over.
Okay.
With three industries, we could have done that, but I think the rules have changed now, I talked to them about it the other day. But we were kinda hoping for that and then let them maintain it, let Norfolk Southern maintain it. They just inspect it now for us and pretty much dictate that we maintain it the way they want it maintained. And it's a lighter gauge rail, they're still pushing two big engines up there. Dave can tell you, it's going through that curve, it gets it out of gauge all the time, cause it's, eventually we'll have to replace that rail with a heavier gauge rail.
Okay.
The Progress Park Connector Road, the final construction installment is there, that one is budgeted, that's for construction of the Progress Park Connector Road, tying it back into exit 41. We have $250,000 for Progress Park projects, that's for lot one, that would be for engineering work, related to development of that lot. There's no prospects on that lot now, but, we like to be prepared in case there's a need to, engineer, work to bring in that economic development. The lot 10, the Ready Sites grant, that's $5.1 million. That money has been awarded from the state. There is a local match for that. That's the $1.7 million part. And that's to get lot 10 ready to sell to, some future economic development prospect. Again, no prospect identified for that lot at this point, but the state wanted to have a larger site ready, and I think this was at least 50 acres, if I remember correctly. So it would be a good sized site for most of that. The industrial property evaluation would just be looking at potential future industrial development sites. There's a duplication there. I have the county grant match, that number's not right, so you can strike through that line. 2.172 million, that's not required at this time. General property acquisition, we've got $6 million in there. That could be for property here in town if we needed to expand this complex. Could be for industrial property, could be for transportation property. We'd just like to have some idea of what our future needs are in the property acquisition. The arena development lots, those are the commercial lots next to Chapman Road that I referenced earlier. If we have to develop a partnership to get those lots developed, that $4 million would go toward that project. On the emergency services side, ambulances and load systems, you'll see every year we're asking for a new ambulance and a load system to go with it. Load system is the cot and the load system to be able to get those stretchers on the backs of ambulances. Last week, I had to lift some heavy patients out with our EMS folks, and, if I were, 115 pounds EMT, I would not have been able to be of any assistance. So, the load systems and cots, help, get some mechanical advantage to getting those patients loaded faster.
Is that price for one?
Unfortunately, yes. So the ambulance and the, stretcher together, that's what we.
I hope you say it was 5.
That's what we did.
That's gonna be purchasing one each year.
That's the plan. The one that we purchased last year and the one that we are preparing to purchase now, we were able to get grant funding, for those. So the county wasn't on the hook for but a percentage, that's a smaller percentage, I think it was 30% for most recently. So the state has been of some assistance, there. It is, you know, what you're seeing is the expense side, not necessarily what the revenue side is, for those. We just can't project that we're gonna get those state grants every year going forward. As much as that would be helpful, it's unlikely. It's the one that we got, 2 years, in 25, or excuse me, in 24, was on our rural retreat grant under the RSAF program. The one we got last year was one that the county earned.
How many miles you getting on the ambulances now? You know, and you're the ones you do frontline units, I know that's the more.
They tell me with these diesel units that we're using about 150,000 miles practically. Part of that is the high maintenance cost, replacing the filter, the particulate filter in those. We've been pricing between $6,500 and $12,000.
Once you get over that, you're looking at liability, you know, reliability too, so.
Well, the federal government helped us out a little bit on that. They've said that it's gonna be okay to delete some of those emissions, so that may be the route that we wind up going. I'd like nothing better than get rid of those particulate filters, just because it's such a hassle to do the regen, and it does affect your operability of those vehicles.
Or gas.
The one that we are buying this year is a gas unit. We are looking strongly at going with gas going forward. But you get a little more power, a little more torque out of the diesels, and I like that, but it's not essential. We'll continue to look at that, but those are our estimates on what we think the cost for those ambulances is gonna be over the coming years. Unfortunately, if it has lights, sirens, and chrome, usually, you know, the cost has been going up pretty steady over the last few years. We do have officer response vehicles for some of our, management staff to be able to go out and assist our folks in the field, so those do have lights and sirens. The one that gets to be really shocking is fire apparatus replacement, and we've been pretty good the last few years about being able to replace fire trucks, you know, at least every year, if not every other year. The one that we are buying in current year for Barron Springs Fire Department, cost came in at just under $600,000. So these are placeholder numbers. It is likely that in this time frame, we will start to see the ladder truck that is jointly owned by the town of Wythe and Wythe County. It will, you know, start reaching its maximum life. So we'll have to start looking at another ladder truck. The ladder truck is typically about $2.5 million and about a 2.5 to 3 year wait for it to be manufactured.
So if you think you need one, you almost gotta order it now.
Pretty much.
You got ordered that far out.
So that's on down into that next page. The existing ladder truck, if we could refurbish it, so where we could extend its life out by another 10 years, that would help, but we're still gonna need another ladder truck to help. One of the big places that helps is in your industrial parks. It improves your insurance services office, ISO rating, so that those businesses get a lower insurance rate. It also helps in your more heavily populated areas with your insurance rates there. we have been looking at, do we need to have a central fire station, for industrial, fire and EMS response? So this is would be nice to have, not an essential to have, on that $5 million. And if that sounds expensive for a fire station, I can point to a number of other localities that have spent in excess of $5 million for their stations over the last few years. It is amazing what, construction costs have seen happen over the last 5 years, since COVID. Materials and labor are both pretty high. I have in here a burn building training center, it's property and construction. That's about a $500,000 expense. The state will pay, will issue a grant up to $475,000 to do those, burn building, training centers. And they would the state would very much like for us to have, one in Wythe County. Even though we have
Where's the closest one now?
Pulaski. I believe there's also one in Galax, if I remember right. There are a few around Southwest Virginia that they would like to have something centrally located. Again, that's something that could be co-located with the sheriff's office range.
Could that be put up there at where the Hitachi ice ring is? I mean, somewhere around it.
I wouldn't, just because of the proximity to the arena.
The only thing else to burn down, I got you.
Well, it's not so much about burning down, it's just, it's high visibility, and if you're doing a training exercise there, you're likely to get folks calling from in and say something's on fire.
You sort of move back over the hill somewhere, I got you.
Yeah, a little more out of the way, so it would be happy. Fire department turnout gear is a big ask. You'll see in fiscal year 27, we're asking to replace, fire gear's good for 10 years. We bought all new gear for the county firefighters in 2022. So we're looking to replace about half of it in that next fiscal year. The gear that is most worn out, so it won't be by department, it'll be by those that have started to get holes or damage in their gear. We need to replace that, and if we can, we'll refurbish what we take out of service, try to minimize some of our future costs. Fire department equipment is general, hose, axes, Halligans, all the fire tools, they're all expensive to replace. We've gone to even using some used hose and used tools to try to mitigate some of those costs. Same thing for EMS equipment. We do have stretchers and monitors and other pieces of equipment that go out from time to time. And the monitors, I think, are now in the $75,000 to $80,000 range. Those are from Stryker and they're on state contract, and you're not gonna get much for it if you put it out to bid. So, it's all fairly expensive. We would like to have a bariatric ambulance. We do get some large patients, from time to time, and, we have, even had patients who, when we were able to bring in a bariatric ambulance from another locality, those patients have either strained or broken some of those, ambulances as they come in. So having, patients with, weights in excess of 600 pounds puts a strain on our stretchers and on the trucks. So, we would like to have that bariatric ambulance. It would be a frontline truck. It would be one that would run just for those special circumstances. Our public safety radio upgrades, we just upgraded those about 2.5 years ago. But we are being told that our microwave frequencies have been sold to FirstNet by the federal government, and that we are going to have to do something to upgrade our microwave system. And that could cost as much as $500,000. But those public safety radios are essential for our first responders, our law enforcement, when they're operating in the field. That is included as a capital cost. The station at Jackson Elementary School, we would like to do some joint operations there, put a fire truck and an ambulance in there, especially for those high volume travel days, being able to use, we're currently using as our radio tech, day, so, they're bringing vehicles in there, putting in the radios, doing testing, putting in lights and sirens, saving us some money by doing it there, on site, so, we'd like to get that station upgraded. It's a really great old building, I enjoy going in it, it's where the, rescue squad served out of the flea market, if I remember right, so, yeah, it's, probably a lot of good memories for at least a couple of you there, so,
It was the high school ag department before that. So that was the high school ag.
well, I really enjoy spending time in the building. Still good things going on there. You'll see, we've got some conversation, our fire stations were built in the mid-90s, they're metal construction, and for the most part, they're in workable shape, but some of them are starting to show their age, and, so we're talking about, is there a need to expand or replace or consolidate some of our stations and operations? Max Meadows Fire Station is the busiest one in the county, it's about 53% of the calls that get generated every year. It's generally between 52 and 55%. So, they are pretty well full as far as their equipment. So, we're looking at, do we need to do that, in a couple of years? Start with Max Meadows and then work out, we've got some of the other stations, there as well. We do have a small building in the Newtown area that we use to store a fire truck now. It's a reserve truck, that can be used for hazmat purposes, and for backing up other departments. But it's a small building and it too needs some attention. It was a former, lead mines, station for, an ambulance there close to the quarry. The West EMS station location, that's the one in Rural Retreat. We leased the building from town of Rural Retreat. The main drawback to that building is its proximity to the railroad tracks. If there was another derailment there, and it was chemicals, we would be out our first responders, there. It would also help with that station. We're not just further away from the railroad tracks, but also closer to the interstate, so, we'd like to identify some property where we might be able to, relocate that station to. Again, some of these it would be nice to, not essential to. Our 911 dispatch center is pretty tight space. It's workable, but it's not comfortable. So our new 911 director has been pressing me just about every day. Can we get some grant money? And she's identified a source, and potentially look at relocating the dispatch center to other space of the county owns, either building new or renovating. So we have that in there as a placeholder. And I've got West Station in the place. Take out that second one, the $1.5 million one, is probably $1 million project. So take out that second one. Microwave system replacement is also a duplicate. The public safety radio subscriber unit replacements, those are the handheld radios and mobile radios. Eventually they will wear out. We're told generally it's a 7 to 10 year lifespan for those radios. So that 2029 year would put us at about the 7 or 8 year mark on those. So they'll need to be replaced, and that number will probably go up between now and then, but that's based on the number of units that we have and the current contract cost. The 911 center has a backup battery system. It's a large bank of automotive batteries that stores power. It's enough for them to operate on for about 12 hours. If there were a problem with the generator, so it buys us a little time in that building. Those batteries are at the end of their lifespan, so they're gonna have to be replaced. The system itself doesn't have to be replaced, but the batteries do. So that's about a $40,000 cost. The 911 consoles, that's the furniture that they use where they're sitting, they have screens in front of them. Those, were original to the building when the new building was built in 2013, I think, 13, 14, when the 911 center was consolidated. That furniture is really at the end of its life, and so we have some, funding in current year budget to replace those 911, consoles. That should be done by the end of the current budget year. We have in here, fire department, mini pumpers and brush trucks. A lot of our brush trucks are, in excess of 20 years old. So we're just planning for how do we replace those and, just trying to project what the cost is gonna be, and that's about the market for, mini pumpers, the number that you see there. Brush trucks, generally 120 to 300,000, depending on the brand. If you're a beer stand and you like Skeeters, it's a higher number than 300,000. We don't have to have those. Most of our fire departments have some sort of UTV or off-road vehicle. Those are for rescue purposes. I know some of you have done rescues on the trails, and if you don't have the right equipment to get back in there, it's a long haul out. So, trying to bring those current. Town of Ivanhoe the Ivanhoe Fire Department wrecked one this year, and it was completely replaced by insurance. So they have a brand new one, so it does affect the numbers a little bit, but we're gonna leave it as it is. The Max Meadows Fire Department was the first department in the county to get a SAM boost system. It's a system that a firefighter can operate the fire hose from the nozzle. So they can operate the pump from the nozzle while they're holding the hose. It's impressive technology. I still want to see it work for several years before I'm fully sold on it, but I have a placeholder in here. It allows you to begin firefighting activities if you only have 3 firefighters on scene. You can do outside fire attack. Inside fire attack requires that you have a minimum of 2 firefighters that can go in and 2 that are outside the building, so they can bring out, if there's an emergency situation, then they can bring out the firefighters that are in. So the SAM boost would improve our capabilities. That's particularly important for some of our departments where it's hard to get volunteers out during the day, because people are working. If you can only get there with 3 people, you can at least start to fight the fire. We have in here a search and rescue rock-proof boat. We have one now. We've had some problems with the manufacturer, and so we're trying to, we may even wind up being able in current year to find some funds to be able to replace that. We've got a grant application in to be able to replace the one we have with something better. That's 4 your rescues, and we've had, I think the highest number we've had in a year since I've been here is 12 water rescues in a given year. You can't predict what you're gonna do, but you'd like to have the right equipment to be able to get out and rescue folks if they're down at the falls, or if they turn over their canoe in the river. We'd like to be able to have some better landing zones for helicopters. We would like to include some helipads around the county. Generally, we'll use churches or we use fire departments now. It would be nice to be able to add, there's a few areas where it'd be good for us to have helipads to land those helicopters for rescue purposes. In engineering, the only thing the county asked for was replacement plotter scanner. Anything else you've thrown in since then? Finance, our accounting, management, and payroll systems, those are probably not gonna wind up being capital items. Those will probably wind up being operational funds. But we're gonna leave them in capital for now. For IT, server and security upgrades, we've got $75,000 a year in there. there's always firewalls to replace, there's always servers to be upgraded. If you don't keep up, then you leave yourself open to cyber attacks and, ransomware. We wanna avoid that as much as we can. Our IT department's been able to handle that, but we wanna make sure that they have the right tools to do the work. On the library side, that they need a new, they need a better parking lot than they have. They've got, quite a bit of damage to that parking lot. I would say the last few weeks have, made that even worse. They'd also like at some point to add private study rooms and do some interior renovations to the library, so we have some funds in there, that will be considered as part of this budget process. On the recreation side, some general improvements to Ager Field, or to Ager Park, and then some, improvements to the fields at Ager Park, so separate projects. Some of the buildings there need some repairs and upgrades. The bathroom certainly needs some attention. Ager's courts, that's probably gonna be a current year project. We got some money from the Wythe Foundation to replace the tennis and basketball courts up there. Johnny's got a concept for how that's gonna go. We'd like to add some lights on Ager Field and add a walking trail, which we have a grant application in for. Rural Retreat, we'd like to improve the campground some. There's some significant work that went on this year in upgrading the bathrooms, but then we have some roofs that need replaced and some smaller buildings that need to be replaced as well. And then the pool, just some ongoing improvements and maintenance. Our recreation director would like to upgrade, go from a chlorine system to a saltwater system, upgrade the filters, and decrease our maintenance cost and improve the safety for our employees working there. The campground office does need a new roof, and it needs it fairly soon. We have some money in here just for maintaining the Reed Creek access points. The industrial park, put some money in just for developing some recreational amenities there. If we're gonna put in trails or something to try to make that more attractive, more walkable space. Community park development, this used to be general community parks. If we have the opportunity to get acquire land, we wanna put in a playground or park facilities around the county, just putting in some funding for that. Mr. Brand stepped out, but the Barron Springs Community Center, he has asked for funding to be reinstated in the budget for that. It was in there when Mr. Roberts was the representative for the Lake Mountain District, and was not funded subsequently. So the Barron Springs Community Center is in there as a capital item. On the refuse collection side, we always need to be upgrading and replacing compactors at the trash and recycling centers. As heavy use as those get, there's always gotta be some replacements going on. The sheriff's office does need a practice range. They've had to share with the town of Wythe, they've had to go out to Stony Fork and practice the range out there. There's no designated place for the sheriff's office to go and have a range. So the sheriff is actively working on both funding and location for that project. We have in here collection site paving for the Austinville area. I believe that's already done. The project's complete. I'm pretty sure that one's done.
Yeah, I think so.
Our collection boxes, the green boxes, so we have the private operator that operates the trash and recycling centers, but the collection boxes are our property, so we got to fix and maintain and replace those from time to time, so we've got some funding in there for that. This is sort of an eye popper, and again, these would be nice to, not necessarily have to right now, but as we do smart scale road development projects, I've got $2 million a year in here for those projects. And that sounds stupid, because it is stupid. But if I had told you 5 years ago that building a crosswalk in front of Fort Chisholm High School was gonna cost $2.2 million, you'd probably question the board's sanity and agreeing to hiring.
And it can take 5 years to do.
Exactly.
Is that ready, set, go?
You know, so,
That's a joke.
$2 million a year sounds like a lot, it might not get a lot done. The treasurer and commissioner have requested a replacement revenue management system, computer system to manage specifically the taxation side and some of the other things that the treasurer does. There is no agreement on moving forward with that, but it is in here as a placeholder budget. And then also have a placeholder for voting machine replacements. So, for the administrative side, it's about a $99 million capital improvement plan over the current year and the subsequent 5 years. On the school side, the big number is the Spiller Elementary School replacement. This looks like a big number because it is a big number. We sort of got spoiled with the Wythe renovation and then the addition of middle school there. The George Wythe Middle School project wound up only being about $9.5 million in local funding. The rest of that came from federal funds and state funds. So it was about a $29 million project. A third of that came from county funds. So this is more likely to be fully a county expense. The federal money, the ESSER money has gone away. It was part of the CARES Act funding. So unless there is some new pot of money that comes about from the General Assembly or from the federal government, that is likely to be local cost, and that's based on projected space needs and what the current per square foot construction cost is for commercial construction.
Is that redoing the old Scott building, is that what you're talking about?
So the partial demolition of the old Scott building and then new construction. So they're gonna save the historic parts of the Scott building, but the parts that aren't so historic, they're gonna be replaced.
And that's what you're considering the Spiller Elementary replacement?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So Spiller would move from in-town out to the Scott property.
Then that's what, this $40 million, that's what that's projected.
And that's, you know,
I got you.
the design's not finished, they have started preliminary design. You know, so we don't know the full space needs, but put a placeholder in there. If it winds up being a $30 million project, great. If it winds up being a $50 million project, then we might have budgeted, but we're giving it our best shot.
My opinion on that is go back to the way it used to be back when I was at school. Spiller was.
But they don't have log cabins anymore.
Spiller was kindergarten through, 4th grade, and Scott was 5th, 6th, 7th. I mentioned this to, superintendent myself, turn Spiller into a primary school, pre-K through 2nd grade, and put 3rd, 4th, and 5th in Scott, and just remodel both buildings accordingly. And it's probably substantially cheaper than $40 million.
Mr. Fry is begging people to run for his seat, so since you qualify.
Me and Rusty, we went to school with no kindergarten started.
No, we didn't.
No, sir.
Huh.
Well, we're old school, sir.
Huh.
That was last year.
That's the best place to go into Idaho Elementary. That tells you how old I am.
I went to Austinville.
So smaller construction items, looking down at the bottom, you'll see the career and technical center upgrades. That is not something the school board asked for, so don't get anything from the school board. Put it in there as a placeholder, just recognizing the age of the current technical center, and there may be some needs to do upgrades or replacements of that facility.
Yeah, it's vastly outdated.
Well, and that's come to light as we've gone through the cannery, discussion, you know, the boiler that won't function anymore, it can't be easily replaced. And so that's an important one. We've got placeholders in here, these are in out years, $5 million for Fort Chisholm High School, $3 million for Fort Chisholm Middle School, some upgrades at Jackson, Sheffey, Speedwell Elementaries, then, some upgrades at Rural Treat High School and Rural Treat Middle School. Again, those are placeholders. There may be a need at some point for a school campus expansion, and we've got a placeholder in there if we were to have to buy property, for expansion. Again, not targeting any specific project, but, just recognizing there may be a need. Some HVAC and some roof replacement projects that the schools asked for, are in there as well.
Like the roof replacement and Hythe back at Real Tree Elementary School, they built that in 2001, 2002, so you're going on 25.
You're 25 years.
25 years.
Those roof replacements, you're lucky if you get 20 years out of them without major problems.
I'm surprised Jackson don't need it, because they built the new addition at Jackson at the same time they built Real Tree Elementary Schools.
Part of that is, they did have the fire at Jackson that caused some damage, and they were able to fix some of the problem areas there, so, didn't think that was quite as urgent. But, you'll see, almost $76 million in capital needs for the schools. One of the things that could go toward school, improvements, there is legislation that's making its way through the General Assembly for the 30th in a row, that would give localities the option, and this would be something that would be put before the voters, to add a 1% sales tax that would go to fund, debt service for, school improvements. So there's a possibility that, this could be funded in part by a sales tax, if the voters, were inclined to support that. We're in a good spot to do that here, because so much of our economic activity is from folks who don't live here. So it would be a good way to have folks who don't live here pay for it. Otherwise, we would have to, as with county taxpayers. Bless you, sir.
Thank you.
On to, wastewater, and utility funds, lift station repairs, that's an ongoing thing. You have to do that every year. There's always something breaking or something that gets clogged up that needs, attention. We have in here a placeholder for the expansion of our wastewater plant. You'll remember we contemplated that as part of the, Blue Star MBR, project. Since that project has been delayed, has not been, completed, we have that on hold, but the engineering is done, the design is done. You remember we even went so far as to order, equipment, and then when it became apparent that it wasn't gonna be needed soon, we were able to cancel that order. The conveyance system for the waste, there at the plant, needs to be replaced. It's toward the end of its lifespan. The Jackson School sewer expansion is probably actually gonna start in current fiscal year. The septic field there at the school is in such bad shape, the lagoon system, we were trying to get some funding to be able to, take that up to the, pump station that serves Poplar Camp, so we can, take the school off of its reliance on that lagoon system and, get them a much better wastewater treatment system. The water and wastewater director has asked for sewer inspection equipment and sewer jetter equipment, something that we don't have now. Most utilities do. It's good to have. It helps improve your maintenance and helps you identify problems a lot sooner and fix those problems. We do have generators at a lot of our facilities. They need to be replaced and updated. The water plant's training space, lab and office space is pretty dated and starting to show some wear. So it needs renovation or replacement. So we have a placeholder 3 years out on that. Max Meadows sewer repair is ongoing. So are our sewer extension studies, as we're looking to expand that out into the other parts of the county where we can immediately serve. We have some money in here for term services and engineering. Every year, if there's something that comes up that we need engineering for, and we have that as part of the capital budget. Again, just general capital replacement and repair, because it's equipment that is always wet, always operating and always in need of maintenance or, replacement. The wastewater treatment plant, SCADA, that's the automated, equipment they use to monitor and operate some of their equipment. That project has been, completed, so, we're in good shape there. But we do need, some wastewater plant repairs, over the next couple of years. Some of the basins and some of the equipment there needs to be, upgraded. And then, the Middle Reed Creek, sewer treatment facility, that's something that would be nice to have. It's not essential now, but if we see continued industrial growth and there was a significant sewer user that came in, we would, want to, be able to at least plan to, put in that, facility. Calling it Middle Reed Creek just because we have one further down on Reed Creek, and the town has one on the upper part of Reed Creek, so it was picked somewhere in the middle that was a lengthy location that would have to go through permitting, so we would have to pass some hurdles with the state to get that done. On the water side, that was almost $31 million on the wastewater side. On the water side, we're doing some of these big projects now. The Lots Gap tank and line extension, that's a couple of years out. That was originally planned to serve the Blue Star project, but it is needed. We need to have some water storage there to improve pressures and to improve storage capacity. That way, if we have significant winter weather events or significant storms, we've got a couple million gallons that we can supplement with until we can ride out the storm. The Pepperidge Ferry West water, we would like to extend out Pepperidge Ferry. Whispering Pines water is about a $2.2 million project projected now to improve service in that area. The Siloam Shadow Lane pump station, that's a pretty significant need. Shadow Lane has had several new houses built on it, and the line is not high enough capacity to be able to serve everybody with the pressures and volumes that we need there. So that's an urgent need. I think they're working on that this spring. That everything gets bid out right. Working on the Phelps Lane and Route 94 replacements. There's some significant water lines there that have some age to them. That they're large volume lines that they need upgrading. Comfort Road and Olive Branch, we have some federal funding available for that project. Down in Ivanhoe, the older lines there need some replacements. And then we have some repairs that need to be done as a result of Hurricane Helene and Speedwell along Dry Run. We'd like to be able to plan to expand water service out towards Stony Fork. Got a lot of wells out in that area that are either contaminated or not producing like the owners need them to. So just looking out, it's about $9 million there for that extension. I'm not sure how far that'll get us. We have a pretty lengthy water study about where we need to expand water service out to, and these are the higher priority items. Need to replace some of the main lines in Max Meadows. Need to replace some of the ones in Hager Spring, Route 21. Need to replace some in Austinville. Speedwell and St. Peters are a little more urgent in being able to upgrade those. Those are older parts of the system. And we'd like to be able to extend Atkins Mill a little further than it is. That project is almost done, I think, on Atkins Mill.
You're talking about the Speedwell at St. Peter. Is it still have that problem with the plastic pipe and the water hammer? Busted the pipes?
I don't know the particulars of that one. That sounds right, but I couldn't say for sure. So all these projects that you see in blue, they are projects that have been identified in that study. These were the initial estimates, but these are all numbers from 2021, so they're old numbers. We're not gonna update them to new numbers until we can get a little more certainty on when we can do those projects. Those numbers are in there as placeholders, so it's likely to be significantly higher than it projected on this current plan. Some more of the more immediate concerns. The Smith County connection, the highway, that one's gonna become more important as we go along, so that one may actually move up in the out years. Again, some critical site support, portable generator and switch gear. If we were to have a need for a large generator, we don't have a portable one that we could, put on the back of a dump truck site to keep the power running. We would like to be able to do that. We have a lot of reservoirs that need inspection and repair. Some of them, the Max Meadows one with a fairly rusty tank. It's good and functional on the inside, but the outside looks pretty rough. So we need to paint those, get them inspected, do needed repairs. So we've got that plan for most of our older reservoirs for the next few years. We always put money in for repairing our SCADA system. Again, that's the remote system that they can operate remotely, and they can see the measurements of how the water's flowing. So we want to make sure that we maintain that system well. We need new pump station controls at the Collins tank. We need to plan for replacing a vehicle every year. Those trucks get a lot of miles and they get a lot of hard use. We have some money in for miscellaneous equipment replacement. Something that would be nice to have, but not essential to have, is an air read meter information system. We've got $5 million in there as a placeholder for that. It sounds nice. The key advantages to it are, if you have that air read system, it is always reporting data back to home base. So if I go home tonight and I go to sleep and I don't think about checking the water, but it's leaking under the house, the water department would be able to call me in the morning and say, hey, overnight you had a whole lot of water use, do you have a leak somewhere? And so that's really one of the nice benefits to it. You can log in as a customer, see how much water is being used. The way our system is now, the only way that you know how much water you used is at the end of the month when you get that bill. So it'd be nice to be able to provide that as additional customer service. I've installed one of these systems before, and they are really nice to have, and were well received by the customers. The radio drive intercept, we have some federal and state funds that are available to us to be able to tie in our system there in Muscle Lumber, so that we could we do some nice things down there with water. If we needed to expand on into Smith County with the water, we'd be able to be the supplier there. And then on down the road at some point, there's been talk in the past of doing a Wythe and Pulaski interconnect, to be able to serve some customers on the other side of the line. So those are some of the options now. That whole water and wastewater plan is about $134 million, and that's with some pretty old numbers on those blue placeholders. So our board during my 5 years here has been pretty insistent that we look out for expanding water out into the county. If there are other funding sources that become available, or other revenues that become available to the county, that would be one of the first places that we would look at going. At least with the board of supervisors, you can look at going to.
So when you're looking at these water extensions, are you also taking into consideration our resources like the New River and the impacts that it has on that?
We do. We're currently licensed to draw 6 million gallons a day out of the New River. That capacity can be increased. We're working on an expansion of that, water treatment plant now that I believe will take us to 8 million gallons. And that should be up and running this summer. So, we'll be, drawing 8 million gallons out. It shouldn't have any noticeable impact on the river at all.
I know the river's been pretty low, cause I have a Houdini heifer that I had to fix to keep her out of it.
And, we've been keeping an eye on it, I get passed by the intake every morning and, it's not quite 2008 drought numbers, but it's pretty close. As some of this snow starts to melt, hopefully we'll see those numbers start ticking back up, but, it has been a little nerve-wracking. On the transportation side, that's a pretty small addition. Current year, we have Southwest, that's supposed to be getting its, hard surfacing, done, and brought into the state system. Grandview Drive is, in process. The pedestrian safety crosswalk, project at Fort Joseph High School is, expected to want some money from us next year. And then, Wythe Road, we have as a fiscal year 28, revenue share project, and we have to include, revenue share projects, as part of the capital improvement plan, so that we can, be out there is considered and that, the county believes it's in. So, having gone through nearly line by line, bored you to death, are there any significant changes, any additions, anything that you see as a whole? Because I'll admit, I've got blind spots just like everybody else. I would note for the record, the changes that I made, I made an economic development, I have duplication for, lot 10, taking out the 172 million, and then taking out the West Station relocation duplicate and the microwave system replacement, duplicate. If there are no questions, my request of the, commission would be that you recommend, to the board of supervisors, the, draft, capital improvement plan with the additions as noted.
I'll make that recommendation.
Also,
And, we'll have a vote at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And our next item will be our subdivision ordinance report. Anything report from the staff at this time?
Mini Eileen Fogelson has created through a minor subdivision a new lot on Gap of the Ridge Road, State Route 625, a 1.590 acre parcel, part of tax map and parcel number 3756. The new parcel is a residential lot and its creation leaves 74.544 acres in the parent parcel. Both parcels will have private water and private sewer, and the parent parcel will continue to be utilized for agricultural purposes. And this plat was recorded January the 8th.
And any other questions for staff on this, this subdivision?
yes, sir.
And was that the only one?
That was the only one.
And our next item will be our coming events, the county calendar for the month of February. questions on the calendar, our next item will be our county engineer report. We'll have to not do this time. So it's just so.
You got any snow picture, Johnny?
Well, not snow pictures.
Supper time?
As you can see, this is before the snow started. We've had to go out and take some measurements, this is for, we're getting ready to put in the signals out here for this crossing at Gatorade. This is at, Kent's Lane and Gator Lane. So we had to take some measurements from the white line back to where this, Amcor siding takes off here. And send it to the engineer. Also been working out at, Ager Park. The fence out there is 10 feet tall. We're trying to get together a set of plans to, basically replace this tennis court. And we were trying to do, replace this tennis court with 1 full basketball court and 3 pickleball courts. And we have to replace the fence as well. So, as you see, this fence has got some interesting, braces. Instead of turnbuckles, it actually has a threaded rod that you tighten up. So anyway, it's a little bit different, but it seems to serve well for many years, but we're gonna have to tear it out, it looks like. This is the tennis courts now. It has some pretty good sized cracks all in it. It's not used at this time, and we got some grant money to try to rebuild this thing. It kind of sets up, go back a little bit. You can see, it sets up on a, kind of a pedestal out there. So right now we're showing lowering it 4 feet to help that out to be more accessible for ADA, the parking lot, everything else. If you see the marks on the ties, Norfolk Southern came out there, they marked the ties, and then we marked the ties so we can put it out for bid. Sometimes they miss ties that are bad, sometimes we miss ties that are bad, but together we do a pretty good job. This is at the switch, you can see the 2 rails, and you can see the ties get longer. So there's mainline ties and switch ties. So, and you can see along this edge, you got the mainline tie, then the switch tie, then a longer switch tie, then a longer switch tie. Luckily for us, Norfolk Southern has negotiated with Amcor and Gatorade. They're gonna do a lot of work on their side that's gonna help us out a lot. We still have to do the main line. You can see where the main line ties are much shorter than these switch ties. And once they get out here, instead of 1 long switch tie, it goes back to main line ties. This is between lot 2 and 3 out at, Progress Park. We did get it filled up. This was a sizable valley in between these 2 pads. Now it's been filled up and it's pretty slick. Of course, I haven't seen it in a couple of weeks.
Snow covered.
It's wide.
It's wide, man.
But, yeah, hopefully we can get this seeded and stabilized pretty quick, and then, Steven's gotta show it to somebody. Unfortunately, we have learned that, this is the, crossing that goes up to the AEP substation. And it is our responsibility to clean off these areas. And normally, since I've been here, we haven't done this, but I guess because of the ice that came the last snow, Norfolk Southern was out there beating the ice out because it gets down in between these rubber, and between the rail and the actual crossing pieces, and it could derail a car. So, Landon's guys actually went out there today and started cleaning up. We've been told that we've gotta clean off the one at Kent's Lane, and then the one at AEP, and then the one that goes across to where we have a proposed pump station over here. And this is AEP, but this is also where Goforth goes in to feed their cattle. You can see their tracks. And this is the main crossing, and, these rubber pieces here, will allow the car to go through, but if they hold ice, they could derail a car, and that's an expensive undertaking, the way I understand it. Okay, unfortunately, we have been beating our heads against the wall trying to figure out the HVAC system. This is what a fire damper is supposed to look like. And this is basically in between like a wall. If the wall goes all the way to the ceiling, if you've got a return air or a duct system that goes through, you have a fire system. What this thing does, this is a little melt away, piece right here that allow this to slam down to keep the HVAC system from fueling the fire with oxygen. So, this is what the one looked like that we found. The book we shoved in there to hold it open until we got it fixed. We did get it fixed, and now we're working on balance the system in our new building. But our, HR department, she had no air going to her office, so she was either cold or hot. So, that's the only thing I have. You guys have any questions?
Did you ever get the plans downloaded for the crosswalk?
Yes, finally we got them, we've got all the passwords together and got the plans.
Mr. Kinzer is done with his report, now it's time for ex officio supervisor member report from Mr. Bryant.
Well, we haven't done a whole lot. We reorganized last month, and then, we're getting ready to go in our budget season, which is always interesting. Last year, we had a $5 million shortfall that we balanced out. So, hopefully this year, we'll be able to do the same thing. And then broadband has their website up, so you can go in, punch in your address. I've been doing that in some of the areas down around, like up in Dry Pond and up out, Little Reed Island Road, just to see. I did notice that if you live 500 or 600 yards off the road, they said, please call us. And, but other than that, they've been, sending out regular updates of where they're working at. You know, like last month, it was over in Swaggertown and a few other places. And, but other than that, unless y'all have questions.
You're talking about citizens.
Citizens, yeah.
And
Right.
And they're burying all their lines,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
What did I said something?
You didn't say anything, which
So you
one?
didn't say which.
Which one?
Or broadband or the citizens.
Yeah, it was the.
I think if you're getting a better quality system down that lower end of citizens, they're burying the cable instead of hanging it on Atticus poles like Port Broadband did, so.
And as you can imagine, progress has slowed significantly over the last 2 weeks. I did talk to the company, I haven't shared with Mr. Burnett yet, but, the company does regular updates with the county and, Mount Rogers Planning District Commission, and they are asking for an extension. They were supposed to be done in June, they think they can be done by the end of the year, but they just took this project over in November, so they've only been working on it for, a couple months now,
So when does that federal grant money run out?
this year. Has to be extended out at the end of this year.
If Mr. Berman is finished with his report, now ready for the deputy county administrator's report, Mr. Hankins.
Haven't I talked enough?
I've been anxious to hear what happened with the vote for the, city principal.
So, we met, January 14th, the day after the first Board of Supervisors meeting of the month. This was a meeting that had started in November, was continued into December 10th, further continued into December 17th, and then continued again into January 14th. We started the meeting at 11:05, and at 11:06, I moved to adjourn the meeting. There was no argument, there was no vote, there was no concessions, so the meeting adjourned after 6 minutes, and short conversation. So the expectation is we're gonna keep an eye on what happens with the legislation. There is legislation that an amendment could be slipped into this year that could impact it, so we are fighting very hard to make sure that nothing slips past us. But it looks like, at least for this year, that, maybe I'm speaking too soon, but it looks like we're gonna maintain the equal share, of the casino gaming tax proceeds this year. Something can always happen in the legislature, so I'm not gonna breathe easy until we are adjourned and we're past the veto session, but, things are looking okay for the time being, as you can imagine. City of Bristol's not too happy. I wouldn't be too happy either if I'm gonna end up losing part of that, what looks like about $1.25 million that we're gonna get this year to go toward funding, our EMS operations.
If Bristol didn't share, how much revenue would they get total?
We're anticipating this year that, we're gonna have, between $16 and $18 million, to split between 14 localities. So, it would be $16 to $18 million. They are the only casino host city that has a, funding operation like this. All the other casino host localities keep all of the gaming tax proceeds locally. So the city of Danville and the other operations out east, are all keeping those funds, which I'm sure is what sparked Bristol's interest.
But that was put in referendum, when it was voted on.
It was how the casino was sold to Southwest Virginia, that it was going to help everybody. And Jim McLaughlin and Clyde Stacy, who really spearheaded the effort, that they wanted some of those funds that have historically gone to Bristol to come back out into Southwest Virginia and help in those three areas: education, transportation, or public safety. And we apply all of ours to public safety.
And that offsets a whole lot of money for, instead of the county, coming out of the county, offers.
We have about a $3 million, emergency services budget, and a big part of that is EMS. It's about 1.9 million of that, almost $3 million, is for EMS. So between the staffing, the operational supplies, the fringe benefits, knocking on the door of $2 million. And that $1.25 million that goes toward those operations, is just more than halfway there. So it really decreases our reliance on local tax dollars to support that service.
Anything else you'd like to share?
My throat's a little scratchy.
We did a good job if you did all that there, that's good.
Now, next up is commissioner concerns. Anybody got anything?
Stay safe going home. Stay warm, how about that?
I'm tired of this ice and snow.
Move to adjourn, sir, that work?
That'll work.
Okay.
It's been moved, second. If everybody's in favor of adjourning, everybody say